Hi, everybody. Welcome again to Checking In. I'm Leon Thomas with Miranda Kitterlin Lynch. Hi, Miranda. How you doing?
Amazing, Leon. How's it going up there? Did the
Uh,
weather get cooler for you guys?
It has gotten cooler in Baltimore, but not yet cold.
Ah,
Yes, the leaves are slowly starting to fall off the trees, and it'll be time for those that want to rake leaves. That's
okay.
Yeah, I don't like doing that.
Does anybody like it?
I, I had a friend a couple years ago who said he enjoyed it, that it was therapeutic.
Okay, that's how
And
I
I
feel
said,
about mowing the grass.
oh, okay. Oh, really? You
Yeah,
feel that way?
I like to cut
Oh,
the. I don't want to do all the other stuff. I don't want to weed eat and yeah. I
oh,
just want to do the easy, fun stuff.
okay. Okay. I just prefer to have someone come do it. If it's therapeutic for them, I
Feel
who
free.
who am I to stand in the way,
Yes,
right? Why
yes.
should I prevent? Now, listen, before the show, we were talking about fall break.
Yes.
Like, look, back in my day when we went to school 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, walked uphill in the snow barefoot in July,
Yes. Yep.
we didn't have fall break. What's up, fall break?
I honestly have not even had time to look into what this is all about. I do love our teachers and think they deserve a break, so I'm not contesting it. But I am tired and want my kids to go back to school tomorrow. We have had a lot of fun. We have done every activity under the sun, but I'm ready for tomorrow.
Ready for it. All right. I hear you. Yeah. Folks, if you're watching, tell us, you know, what's up with fall break? Do you have fall break in your area? Put it in the comments as you're watching the show. We'd love to know that. And
Yeah,
if
well, let me add to this. So in the spring, it gets even more wild. Currently, where we live in South Louisiana, the kids have spring break in addition to Mardi Gras break. So the kids are out for both and all the other holidays and breaks for the beloved teachers and all that stuff. So
okay.
pretty
Yeah.
wild.
Whatever works. Whatever works. Oh, folks, if you'd like to be on our show, if you'd like to be a guest on Checking In, you can send me an email. My email address is leon@theleonthomasgroup.com. And you can also contact Miranda. Here's how you do that.
I honestly, it's not to be obnoxious and it's not because I'm special. It's just the longest name that you're probably going to see today.
You go. Just search her. It's there. It's there. All right. So we have another outstanding guest today. Let's bring our guest on into the studio.
Hey,
Hey
Austin, good
there.
to
How's it
have
going?
you. Yay. So before we jump in, what we like to do is let our guests introduce themselves and just tell our listeners who you are and what you do.
Sure, absolutely. Before I do that, though, I will say I'm very thankful listening to you. The daycare has no fall breaks. My son is only 1.5, and thankfully they don't do this nonsense. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm very thankful for that. But great to be with you guys. I'm Austin Segal. I'm the CEO of Singlepane. Singlepane is a hotel asset management software platform. We're serving the kind of very unique needs of the owner and investor side of the hospitality industry. We provide tools for business intelligence, reporting, analysis capabilities. We've got modules to support CapEx management and contracts management, as well as debt service. And we're working with many of the industry's top ownership groups, investors, and lenders to try to drive more efficiency and better reporting for them. In my background personally, I come from the asset management world. So I started my career with a REIT here in Bethesda, Maryland called LaSalle Hotel Properties. So I started way back when as an analyst and worked my way up to asset manager. And I later joined another REIT here in Bethesda called Pebblebrook Hotel Trust through the merger of Pebblebrook and LaSalle in 2018. I also helped them launch a kind of independent soft brand called Curator Hotels and Resorts, which is where I really dove into technology and was responsible for vetting and implementing really like hundreds of different technology systems for independent hotels. which led to me going over to the third-party side of the industry and working with a company called Hotel ABE. They're one of the largest third-party asset management firms, and I oversaw all things technology and helped advise their clients on technology-related decisions and things like that. And in the summer of 23 is when I officially spun out and started Singlepane, which we'll, I'm sure, talk about. But this originally started at Hotel ABE before we kind of separated things and started a separate company back in 2023. So yeah.
That's a very cool adventure that you have taken along the way to get here.
Yes, it's been a fun and curvy career, but kind of always with the forward-looking line of asset management and technology together.
Is that something that you always knew you wanted to be into? Is that an area that you just kind of fell in love with, or I know a lot of us hospitality people kind of just fall into it and then discover, oh, this is the place for me.
Yeah, no, and that's definitely my path. I definitely fell into it. I kind of always knew that I wanted to be in this industry in some way. So going back to high school, when I was cooking in kitchens and doing internships at fine dining restaurants, I was like, this is the coolest industry. I need to be a part of this. But at the same time, I was always a kind of a geek and loved technology and building software programs and finding ways to automate things. And so I never thought I would find an opportunity to merge those two things together, and yet here we are. So
nice, Leon.
So tell me, let's talk about your high school part. We'll get into what your company does here in a second, but I'm interested in learning a little more about you. You said that you were a geek and you were in high school cooking kitchens and you knew this is where you wanted to be. Give us some advice for those that maybe are in high school or early in college or early in their career and they want to branch out and do other things. What do you see now as somewhere they should go? What avenue should they pursue? What's the new hot thing, and how do they get there?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, don't be afraid to be kind of a serial entrepreneur of sorts, right? And it doesn't have to be anything big or have, a meaningful, huge impact, right? But I think the best way to explore your interests and explore your passions is to just try things and, put yourself out there and try to start a small business. I'm trying to think of examples in high school, like when, I needed a parking space and there's no parking spaces around my high school. So I was like, hey, that's a business. I can go to, all these people that live around the high school and see if they'll rent out their parking spaces to high school students. Right. And I started a business to recruit, people with driveways and garages to, allow
what?
Park, right. So it's like, something small that really speaks to you, that addresses a need you have, but then you learn a lot through a process like that. Of figuring out, well, what do you need to do to launch that? How do you, reach out to people, right? So whatever it is, whether it's this industry or something else, I'm a huge proponent of trying things, right? And just, don't be afraid to fail, right? And just see how it goes.
I'm thinking about the parking situation because I know the neighborhood that I grew up in, there was a one-car driveway at each house.
Yep.
But Thanksgiving and other holidays, the neighborhood was packed. I could have done that,
made some money,
blocks over, and made some money.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who knew? I could have done that then, but instead I fell into hospitality because I didn't win enough games as a basketball coach. I'm supposed to be coaching hoops at UCLA right now. Probably my 4th national championship.
Yeah. No, I think this is more fun. You landed in the right spot.
I landed in the right spot. I'm happy that I'm here.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about your technology and why it's so important for hotel asset managers. I'll be honest, this is an area that I don't know as much about as I'd like to, asset management. So if you had to come to my class as a guest speaker and explain why this company is so cool and valuable and what it's contributing, how would you explain that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that the kind of simplest answer is because we're doing something that no one has really done yet in the industry. So while there's tons of technology out there, or I shouldn't say tons, there's lots of good technology out there to support the needs of brands and hotel management companies and individual hotels, right? really we haven't seen anyone that specifically tried to address the kind of unique needs of asset managers and owners in hotels. There's also been investment and new technology for like general commercial real estate developers and owners. But anytime you get to this like hospitality specific, asset class, it just becomes way too hairy and complex for a lot of companies to even want to go into it, right? And it really takes, people that have experienced it to even understand kind of the challenges and pain that hotel asset managers have. So for myself, right, like, going back to when I started at LaSalle and I was an analyst, like I got to experience firsthand how inefficient the process of, running a hotel ownership company can be. And the challenge kind of goes back to the fact that owners, unlike management companies and brands, typically work with multiple, different operators of their properties, right? So it's not uncommon for a single ownership group to have a portfolio where, they have 5 different operators running those hotels for them, right? And when you have 5 different groups that are running those hotels, each one has their own systems, their own financial chart of accounts, their own way of doing things. It's not to say that any one of them is right or wrong, but they're just different, right? So if you're receiving all that information up at your level at the ownership group, you have to find out, like, how do I reconcile this? How do I pull it all together? How do I aggregate my portfolio? How do I have a high level sense of trend, right? How do I identify outliers and risk, right? And basically the way that's been done for decades now is just manual work, right? You've got analysts and associates, copying and pasting information from all kinds of different reports into these models, and days, weeks, months of time goes into just producing reporting, right? Because there's no interconnectivity between, each individual management company and the kind of ownership group's home office. And so we looked at that, and again, we kind of had experienced that in our careers, and we said, like, there has to be, a better way to approach this, but it's just such a kind of small, subset niche of the industry that no one was really paying attention to that. And so, we said, well, we've got to do it ourselves, right? And so started building what is now Singlepane internally at Hotel AVE to kind of address our own needs. And when we had done that, we said, hey, this is working. This is working for us. And we have clients, third-party asset management clients that also have the exact same challenge, and they want to use this software. And so that was really kind of the spark for us to say, hey, this really should be, something that the industry has available to them. And so, we're going to spin this out and form this as a standalone company and really continue to develop and build the product. And so we've been kind of at that for 3 years. And so we've kind of been slowly picking off the various manual pain points that owners have and trying to build tools around them, right? So it started with reporting and business intelligence and analysis and bringing all the data together and making that turnkey. But then we said, okay, well, what's next? The CapEx process, right? That's another process that's very, fragmented and broken and manual. As an example, like the way it might work for a typical hotel is the boiler breaks and the GM picks up the phone and calls their owner, their asset manager, and says, hey, the boiler broke. We need to fix this. Like, I'm going to go get a quote. And they say, okay, I got the quote. It's $10,000 to fix it. And the asset manager says approved. And then they go and they do it, right? But then there's no closed loop. There's no like, well, how much did it actually end up costing? Were we under? Are we over? Where are we pulling that money from? Is it coming from the reserve, or is the owner going to fund that? And then if the asset manager leaves or the GM leaves, all the kind of record of that transaction, so to speak, is lost. Right. So, instead of doing all that kind of work manually and doing it in spreadsheets, we said, this is another perfect example where we can build a tool that's purpose built for this use case and try to, ease some of that pain. And so we've continued to do that, right? And we'll continue to do that for other, very kind of specific use cases that owners and asset managers have.
That is so cool. I don't want to monopolize the conversation. I just want to say that I think that you seem to have started with this really great sense of, how do I fill needs, right? How do I make money by filling a need? And I would imagine that there's also a degree of fear that comes along with starting something new, right? How do you either overcome that, mitigate that? Because I see people all the time that have these great ideas, but may have a little bit of that fear factor holding them back from jumping into it. in either investing their time or changing their career, whatever it takes to actually make it happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think the kind of best answer there is you got to start small and test, right? Like I don't think we would have been as successful if we sat in the garage, so to speak, for 2 years and tried to build the perfect product and then just said, okay, ta-da, here it is, right? I think that the kind of best way to approach these things is to say, okay, let's just focus on one piece of what we're trying to solve for, and let's test it, not just with ourselves, but with others, right? And get feedback and iterate over and over again, right? And I think a lot of great software companies or just other companies in general, follow that approach, and we're no different there. But because you're not, trying to build the whole thing perfectly the first time, right, you reduce a lot of the risk there, right? And you can make mistakes earlier and smaller and fix them as you go along, as opposed to, basically failing because you waited until the very end, right? So, there's nothing that beats just, going for it, right? I know that's not always the easiest thing, but like I said before, like just keep trying things and eventually something's going to stick. And then, I mean, listen, the fear goes both ways. Like we have customers and prospects that we talk to that are like, we're just so comfortable doing things the way we've been doing them forever, right? Like this is a big change, right? And so you've got to kind of get them over the hump too, to say like, hey, there are better ways of doing things. So for better or for worse, we're a change-resistant industry, especially as it comes to technology, and it just takes time and iteration to get people to come along.
Amazing. Go ahead, Leon.
Oh, I can't.
When you talk about technology in our industry, you just mentioned that we're often resistant, right? We just don't want to make a change. Okay, I can think of some of the changes from 8 stations on your television to hard keys to the key cards and now phones and all of those things, right? What do you feel about technology investment in hotels from the property level, but also in terms of asset managers, management company, ownership groups, and all that? How do you get someone that's an asset manager that really needs what you offer? How do you get them to make that conversion in technology? And I think about how slow we are in our industry. How do you get folks to see, look, this is cutting edge, you need to have this? Give us the insight into your sales tips is what I'm asking. Let us have it.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not always easy. I mean, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's great. Like it clicks right away. People understand, the value that we're creating, and they can see how it fits into their process, and they just say, "Great, let's do this." Right. But a lot of times it takes a fair amount of time, because there's various stakeholders involved and different people that have different opinions on things. Right. You've got kind of commercial focused leaders that are focused on revenue and sales and the data surrounding that. You have more financial, focused leadership that are concerned with the kind of bottom of the P&L, the middle and bottom of the P&L, right? And their kind of needs are different. And then you've got the kind of more tactical needs of your analysts and associates, right? So there's lots of people involved, and so you end up having to do multiple demos and really show each person how the tool is going to address their specific needs. And we're not afraid to do that, right? Because we want to make sure that when people sign up for Singlepane, they're committed, right? They want to make this work. They want to, get the value from it. So if that means more work on the front end to really educate, our customers about, how the tool works and how it can work for them, that's an investment that we're certainly willing to make. And I think, that kind of sentiment, applies broadly to kind of my perspective of hotel technology, which is that you can't just, buy something and wave a magic wand and, get the value from it, right? Like it really takes commitment on both sides to see that value. So at the hotel level, right, saying, hey, we bought this, great new, labor management system and it's going to save us tens of thousands of dollars. It doesn't work that way, right? You have to train and educate and make sure that everyone is aligned and committed to getting the success out of a tool like a labor management system, right? And that they put the work and the effort into the configuration and the setup and are thoughtful about labor standards, right? And whatever it is, right? To make that a success. And I think that's I think one of the biggest kind of misses or to put it positively, opportunities for hotel technology to continue to improve is we just need to be better about recognizing that we're a people-driven industry, and that means you have to spend time with people to get them to understand why you're implementing a certain technology and how it's going to benefit them and the broader business. So we need to move away from just, we made the sale and we're going to walk away and good luck, right? To really being more hands-on and consultative with customers post-sale to ensure that they're getting success. And then unfortunately continue to do that over time, because we have high turnover in this business as well. And so it's very easy for something that was adding value to no longer add value just because one individual left, right? And so we have to kind of always be working from the technology side with our customers to make sure that there's continuity of understanding and buy-in as something is implemented.
And I like that you talked about the people side of it, right? I hear so many folks, and it doesn't matter what type of technology we're talking about, where there's a fear that technology is going to replace people. And what you just said was, look, there's still a people aspect of this. You have to train, you have to be able to communicate, you have to be able to follow up. And even for those that watch our show, that you're in property level room sales, you're a convention sales manager, you're a banquet manager, you're a director of sales, there's still people involved. Even with all the tech that we have, there's still, you're going to touch someone. So I hope everyone heard that part, and that we just don't say technology is a run it, and like there was
never set it and forget it.
Yeah, right. What product was that anyway? Set it and forget it. What was that? What was that? I
don't know.
What was that? A cooker, some kind of cooking device.
Oh my gosh, I was just
slow cooker, maybe.
This slow cooker.
Cooker. The crock pot.
The crock pot. That's right. Yes. Set it and forget it.
Gosh, I haven't seen an infomercial in so long. Speaking of change, so I want to ask you, since you're talking about technology, how do you feel about artificial intelligence? That's a huge conversation right now that I'm having with both my students and my industry connections. And it's something that I'm using every day to make my life easier, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no conversation these days without talking about AI for sure. It's here. We can't ignore it. We can't pretend it doesn't exist. And I think it has tremendous potential. And lots of people in the industry, agree with that and kind of see the potential. Unfortunately, I do feel like as an industry, we're still, and somewhat not surprisingly, far behind in kind of real adoption of AI in meaningful ways that are actual use cases that are actually driving value. It seems like a lot of the kind of early use cases in hospitality are driven towards kind of guest engagement, right? So chatbots responding to text messages from guests, right? Or having a kind of chat window on the website, or being able to, on the voice channel, answer Q&A, to divert calls from the front desk, right? Like those types of use cases are live and are adding real value. But frankly, they've been around for a long time, right? Like even before the big boom of generative AI, there were chatbots and FAQ bots and things like that on hotel websites. And so it's really just taken that to the next level. But in terms of really transformative types of products and features using AI in the hospitality industry, I don't think we've really seen that yet. And the reason is just because it's hard. It's a complex business. There's lots of nuances, whether you're at the hotel level, at the brand level, or like us at the ownership level. There's unique language that's used, right? A lot of the kind of training data is non-public, right? So these kind of broad stroke, large language models like OpenAI and Anthropic and all the other big guys, like they don't have a lot of great hotel specific training data that's used to make these models. And so, as an industry, we've got to get more engaged. We have to build custom layers on top of these models. We have to add context to make them usable. And that's really, from our perspective at Singlepane, where we're focused on AI is, how do we take all of this data that we are aggregating on behalf of our customers and apply our own knowledge and context around metrics and best practices of how you asset manage a hotel and the process of hotel investment and modeling, and layer that on top of the data that we have painstakingly cleaned and brought together so that we can provide that value to our customers when they're talking to a chat or whatever it is, right? But you can't, I'm sure many people have tried just like uploading a star report or a P&L to ChatGPT and saying, analyze this for me. It can't do it. It has no idea, right? And you really need to help it understand, well, what is each department in the hotel? What does each line item mean? If something is over, what are the action items you can take to try to address that expense or that overage, right? It has no idea. And so we really have to inject that to make it usable. And so that's what, we're going to be working on over the next, 12 to 24 months is building in that context so that we can then have, valuable AI tools for our customers.
That is very cool. And I think you really nailed it when you said that it really can't just do it all for you. You have to actually, it's just a tool, right? It's not a think for you tool. And this is something that I explain to my students when they're like, well, why do I have to know this if I can just put it into ChatGPT? I'm like, well, yeah, you can get answers from ChatGPT, but one, how do you know if they're right? And two, how are you going to explain it to somebody else? How are you going to explain it to your team or your stakeholders, right? So yeah, I think that you really highlighted a great example. Leon, I am dying to know what the signature question answers are going to be.
Oh, I know. This is going to be something here. We're going to get into those. And Austin, again, tell us how folks can learn more about Singlepane.
So you can go to our website is probably the best place to go. That's www.singlepaneapp.com. There you go. So there's lots of information there. You can instantly book a demo with me and my team to see Singlepane live and understand how it works. We're very, like I said before, very consultative in that kind of sales process and spend a lot of time with our prospective customers, understanding their process and how we can fit in. So encourage, all owners, asset managers, investors, developers, lenders, right? Anyone who's on that side of the business to reach out and would love to talk with you.
All right. And just one comment about the Chat GPT. I have a friend who runs a hotel in Baltimore, and we were playing around together on Chat GPT looking for recommendations for his hotel. And so he put his hotel's occupancy and rate in, and Chat GPT said, build more rooms and lower the rate. And he's like,
easy button.
Right. I don't think so. Not it, right? All right, Austin. It is time for the signature questions of the All right, Austin. There's actually 3 signature questions. We just don't want to change the video. It's okay. 3 questions. Question number 1. This is like a gimme question. We should have changed it for you because I know the answer.
You never know. Know.
This is true. Have you ever had a Maryland crab cake?
Of course, yes. I don't know if I said earlier in the show, but I live in Bethesda, Maryland, just outside DC. Bethesda, so yeah. It would be blasphemy if I hadn't had a Maryland crab cake.
Wait a minute, though. You're near the DC You're a DC suburb.
I am, but
where? Okay, so Annapolis. Now, do you have a favorite restaurant for crab cakes?
I don't. I wish I had an answer for you on that, but I don't. There's crab cakes everywhere, and they're all good.
Okay. Now, I live in Baltimore. All right, so there's a lot of crab cakes around, and what we'll have to do is set up a time for you to come to Baltimore and play racquetball. And the reason I want you to play racquetball is because I run the largest youth racquetball program in the country
There
called
we go.
Racquetball Revival. And we also offer tutoring in English, Spanish, science, and math. But you can help out and come on up and play racquetball, and we can go get a crab cake at G&M's or at Papa's.
That sounds
Right?
great.
We'll
Though I'm
do
going to
that.
embarrass myself playing racquetball. I played squash when I was younger, and it's the exact opposite of racquetball. So I'll be running to the ball, and it'll be over my head.
You're the guy that I want to show up. That means someone that I can beat. Please show up. Please show up.
Gladly.
Yes.
I'll sacrifice
Yes.
myself for you.
All right. Let's go to our second question. Second question. Have you ever had bean pie?
I have not. And I'm a little scared to understand what bean pie is.
Okay, so you've never even heard of it, right?
I have not.
Okay. It's this thing that Leon has been trying to convince me for like 3 years is real. And I've never seen it.
Y'all go ahead and talk. Go ahead and tell your story, and I'll be back with a bean pie. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I
Go
have,
ahead.
like, again, I live in South Louisiana currently. So I have had a meat pie, a crawfish pie, a tomato pie. I've had all the pies, right?
Mhm.
A bean pie, I don't even know how does that even work? Like, what kind of beans are we?
Right.
Is it
Black beans,
savory?
pinto beans, refried beans.
Right.
We need
And
more.
so
We need answers.
Leon has made it a personal mission to like convince me that this is a thing.
Bean pie is real. Miranda once said bean pie was like Bigfoot. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it before.
Anybody can print a label and
Bean
put it
pie.
on.
Enlighten us, Leon. What's in a bean pie?
Bean pie. It is white. Here, let me read the ingredients to you. It says here, wow, this is really small. The glasses aren't helping with this one. It's navy bean, and it's made very similar to a sweet potato pie, very
Mm.
similar to a pumpkin pie.
God, is it
So
sweet or savory?
it is sweet. It is
Okay.
sweet. Yes. So when you come to Baltimore to play racquetball and eat a crab cake, and Austin, since you're in Bethesda, the Safeway probably has it. That's where I buy
Really?
mine. The Safeway near you probably has
Is this
one.
a Maryland thing I have never heard of? Is it a
Oh,
Baltimore thing?
this is it's not a uniquely Maryland thing, but in certain neighborhoods in DC, you may see people on the street corner selling a bean pie and a newspaper called The Final Call. That's by the Nation of Islam.
Okay.
You may see that. So venture on
I'll
into
be on the
town.
lookout.
Yes. So now you know.
You know, in my kitchen right now, I have pie crust, I have beans. I may try to make one today.
That sounds like a good fall break activity.
I was about to say I need an easy activity that I don't have to like go anywhere and spend $1,000 on. So I'll round us. I'll let you know how it goes if I do make one. So Austin, I'll kind of end us with our final signature question, and that is, if you could go back in time and give your 20-year-old self a piece of advice, affirmation, pearl of wisdom, what would it be?
Oh man, good question. Don't try to plan your life. You never know what's gonna happen and where you're gonna end up. Me and my wife are both planners and have always tried to kind of plan what the next step is and plan what the next ambition is, and it's never what we planned, right? And I feel like a lot of stress and anxiety, early on in my career could have been avoided by just saying, you know what, you can't plan for what that's going to be, and just let it come.
That's great advice in any aspect of life.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here with us. Do you want to just repeat your information one more time for anybody who missed it and wants to check out your company?
Sure,
I know
yeah.
lots of contacts that I'm sending it to as soon as we're done.
That would be great. Yeah. So our website is www.singlepaneapp.com, and that's pane like a pane of glass, so PANE, all one word. And would love to hear from you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Right on. Thank you,
Thank you.
Austin. Thanks for spending time with us here and get some bean pie. Thanks.
I will.
Thanks for being with us. All right, that's interesting. Yeah.
I know. It is so cool how many new things are just popping up every day for our industry. And I love that we get to hear from so many people doing such cool stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I do too. Yeah, this is really good. Thanks again, Austin, for being on our show. And folks, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, you just email me, Leon at theleonthomasgroup.com, or you can search for Miranda. Just go to Google and search her, and you'll be able to find her. Miranda, we did an official count.
Oh no, how far off was I?
Now, we did an official count, but I actually forgot the number. So I'm going to log in now to give you that official number, but I believe this is episode 107.
Wow.
Yeah, because in looking through, we did an episode where our 100th was us
Yes.
interviewing each other,
Yes.
right? And so, yeah, this would be number one. No, this is 109.
109, 109
109.
episodes later. Who knew that
Who
all this
knew?
would start with a LinkedIn message?
Yeah, imagine that.
Amazing. Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate being your partner on this adventure.
And I do as well. I appreciate you as well. Thank you for being here. And folks, with that, we shall wrap it up. We will see you next time on Checking In. Take care.